You're watching Meet the Movie Press. Coming up, we're going to be talking about Mr. Robot as Freddie Mercury, an American Werewolf in London remake, and that election.
Welcome to Popcorn Talk, featuring movie discussion, news, and interviews. Popcorn Talk. We talk movies. And now, here's Popcorn Talk's Meet the Movie Press.
Whoa!
What?
Whoa! Oh my God!
What happened?
I don't know.
Jesus.
I don't know where we are.
Christ.
I've heard we're seceding, sorry, from America.
Yeah.
Anyways, you're watching Meet the Movie Press. I'm Jeff Snyder, senior film reporter at Mashable.
I'm Simon Thompson. I'm everywhere. At Showbiz Simon on Twitter, at Showbiz Simon on Instagram, and on Facebook. This is Simon Thompson.
And I'm the Insider, but you guys already know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Simon is omnipresent. And this week, we had an election.
We did.
Spoiler alert, Donald Trump is the president-elect, despite not winning the popular vote. Quite a sad state of affairs. I mean, I did not see this coming. Nobody saw it coming.
No. How we not learn anything from the movies? Seriously,
Really?
how many movies and TV shows do we watch, and how do we not learn?
Nobody is heeding
this.
their lesson from Hollywood. Yeah, scary result.
It's funny how in a week we've gone from a future that looked like equality, and
Rainbows and
justice,
unicorns,
rainbows
yeah.
and unicorns, to something that looks somewhere between The Running Man and fucking Mississippi Burning.
Oh my God.
I have to say I'm very disappointed.
I don't know how, and we are not a political show.
We are
You know,
not.
we're going to be talking about movies today, but
But it affects
it's
the industry.
oh yeah,
It affects the industry massively.
it affected this town. Let me tell
Yeah.
you, I walked into work, on Wednesday morning, and it was just like a funeral.
Yeah.
You were like at a wake or something, and everyone was in a bad mood. Like imagine you go to work one day, Jimmy from accounting's in a bad mood. Be careful with Jimmy today; he's in a bad mood. Imagine everyone in the office in a bad mood. It threw Hollywood off its game, man. Like it's not a busy week. I don't think people were really looking to make deals.
No,
they were kind of huddling together to figure out what they can do.
And it has been quite a quiet week for entertainment news. And the thing is that this is going to, whether you're political or whether you're not, whether you voted or whether you didn't, and whichever side of the line you lie on, it's going to influence what gets made, how it gets made, and the taste. If you look back to 80s cinema, very different.
Right.
Look back to 70s cinema, very different.
Well,
you look at cinema over the last 10 years, it's changed. We've seen a lot of diversity. We've seen a lot of different stories being told. This is going to change the type of film that we see because the taste of the audiences is going to change.
But let me ask you, like, how Hollywood, I think more than ever, is going to get together to figure out what they can do to at least put a little light into the world.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's now very clear that there's a giant audience out there that is, angry white males. I don't, listen, 46% of women supposedly voted for Donald Trump. A lot of Latinos voted for Donald Trump. So I won't just blame it on angry young white guys, but clearly what we've seen this week since he has won the election has been terrifying, with some of the hate speech and rhetoric that we've seen and, graffiti. So it's, I just wonder, I'm cynical enough to believe, like, will Hollywood try to cater to this audience that is probably being underserved right now by very liberal values on television or movies?
I think it will. I think we're going to see a shift. I think also we've seen in the last couple of years how films are financed change greatly. And I think from that, obviously, from what we've heard, he's only been the president-elect for a few days. We don't know what his full plan is, but certainly the indication from the campaign was the fact that he doesn't want, unless it's on his terms, he doesn't want a lot of foreign money. He wants American money.
Right, it's interesting because I think last week too there was this U.S.-China summit in Hollywood, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's just a lot of Chinese money being sunk into the town, and it's not that we're giving over control.
No.
Hollywood is very careful about giving up control, but I think you're right. So, like, some of those values could change.
And I think we're going to see. I mean, if you look back to the only before we can look forward, I think we have to look back. If you look at the films of the 80s, I had this conversation with a mutual friend of ours this week about the films of the 80s. You had the Goonies, you had things like Ruskies, you had things like Red Dawn, you had The Exterminator, you had Rambo. These were all it's something we've seen a shift in over the last couple of years.
It The Exterminator?
It's not. No, it's The Exterminator was a 90s, 70s, 80s film series. I'm not talking about The Terminator.
I was like, wait, do they call it that over
in Britain? Hello, I'm The Exterminator. I believe you have a problem. Is it from the future? This is how that shit starts. We saw a change. We saw Cold War movies. We saw like that.
Right.
We're going to enter a very different time of conflict, how things are done very differently, and that is going to be reflected in the material that we see. We've started to see, like it or not, more liberalism coming in when we're dealing with things, even films about terrorism. We've seen a shift in that over the last couple of years, and I think we're going to see a shift that's going to push it into a different direction, and that is going to affect how people react to these films socially and how they take it into their lives. And I think it's potentially dangerous, interesting, but I think it's going to be harder to tell the stories that are now being told than it would have been 8 years ago. And I don't think it's just a change of administration. I think there's a social shift. We've all heard stories this week of how there has been abuse on the streets. We've seen things about swastikas, on windows. We've seen people referred to by the N-word openly on the streets of America. There is going to be a shift, and unfortunately what we put out there is going to have an influence on how people take it in and how they feel justified in their actions and how they feel socially responsible, whether that's in a positive or a negative way. So I'm concerned.
Well, what I wanted to impress upon the listeners today was just that I think you can take a day or two or a week or two to grieve and sort of mourn for this nation, or whatever you may believe in, but at the end of the day, it doesn't do us any good to be negative, and we all have to move forward. And he is the president now, and America has gotten through some tough times with some not so good presidents, and we've always come out on the other side.
We have.
So, yeah, I just think it would do people well to, be positive out there and try and have some hope and. Be the change that you want to see. Do you think we're going to lose any movie stars to Canada? You think anybody's actually moving? Because it's like.
Do you know what? I don't. From a most basic production point of view, I don't know what is going to happen. I think in order to keep a lot of work here, we're going to have to give incentives because I think a lot of people will be after the Hollywood dollar.
Trump is Hollywood. He's a Hollywood guy. No,
he's
not popular but he comes out of television. He's a freaking reality TV star.
But made a point of the fact that while he didn't need the campaigning in Hollywood to get him elected,
you know what this election
and
reminded
does Hollywood
me?
Want to work with Trump?
We're in such a bubble. That's what
we
it
are.
Is. We are in such a freaking bubble.
Yeah. But it'll be interesting to see how it moves forward. I mean, there are people that are for Hillary. There are people that are against Hillary. There are people that are for Trump and people that are against Trump. A lot of people were going to be unhappy by the result, whichever way the coin fell. The thing is that what we need to do is
got to unite. It's a nation divided right now. We got to unite.
We do need to unite, and we need to move forward. We need to be agents of change. And we need to make America the best that we can make it. We need to not give in to the negative forces. I'm not just talking about negativity, people being upset. I'm talking about negative forces that are out there. We can't deny that they have an interest in this, that they will have an agenda, that they will want to have a voice. It's about how we handle that and how we move forward.
Well said, Simon. And listen, if it all goes to shit, I'm coming to live with your family in London.
Well, I'm staying here. I'm staying in America because I want to be an agent for change.
I love it.
So, Trump, it's your fault. I'm fucking staying here.
What would Donald Trump think about Mr. Robot playing Freddie Mercury? It was announced last week.
He's a robot, but he's gonna play.
Wrong.
He's gonna play a gay guy. I don't like gay guys.
Wrong.
I don't like gay guys.
Rami Malek.
Yeah.
Cast as Queen singer Freddie Mercury.
Yeah.
In a Bryan Singer movie. called Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yeah.
What do you make of this? This came out of nowhere. It's the same project.
It was one of the last stories that I covered.
Brian Singer came out of nowhere.
Yeah, it's one of the last stories that I covered pre-election for Reuters this week. I've been kind of lost in that this week. It's kind of taken over everything. I had to reread it when I saw the story come through. I'm like, hang on, I did not. A lot of things this week I did not see coming. I've got to be honest about that.
There was one I did see coming, but go on.
Yeah, and I'm interested by this, but I have to say, I thought when Sacha Baron Cohen was on board, was a really, really good bit of casting. Aside from the fact that Sacha Baron Cohen is probably a good foot taller than Freddie Mercury, who was quite a short guy. I'm okay with this. I think it's interesting. I think it'll be... I think the way they will play Freddie Mercury would have been very different. I think he will play it... I think Rami will play it from a actor point of view. I think Sacha Baron Cohen would have played it from a characterization point of view.
Well, I mean, there's no point in comparing because it's not him anymore. And Ben Whishaw... like, I don't know if this is an upgrade or not from Ben Whishaw. Because I can't really see it. I don't know that I see Rami Malek as... Freddie Mercury, but I'm mildly intrigued. I go back to Need for Speed, where he's running around the movie naked.
Yeah,
do you remember that?
I do.
That could be like the closest thing we see to the Freddie Mercury. Because if you look at like Mr. Robot, he's like a freaking robot. There's nothing there that suggests he could play this super flamboyant singer. I don't know.
No, but...
And what do we make of Brian Singer doing this kind of material?
On that point, I think by the fact that we haven't seen it, I think is actually quite interesting because it is going to be something very different from him. So I am intrigued to see it. Brian Singer, I'm very confused about that. It's not. He's not a name. Again, if we'd have drawn up a list of people that we thought would have been in charge of this, he would not have been on that list.
Absolutely not. Especially lately with how bad the X-Men movies have gotten.
Yeah.
I look outside the franchise and he's got App Pupil, Usual Suspects, and Valkyrie, right?
Yeah. Which Valkyrie was App's Pupil is great.
Yeah, none of those are
Valkyrie
bad. None of those
is
are bad
decent.
movies.
Yeah.
None of those are bad movies. And obviously he's a prominent gay filmmaker as well.
Yep.
Not that this movie had to be directed by a gay director. It's an interesting package and very different from the recent incarnations of this project. It was Dexter Fletcher directing the Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels actor.
Well, I mean, I would have loved to have seen Dexter Fletcher do it. I mean, the thing is that the Queen are a British rock band,
and he ended up doing Eddie the Eagle.
Yeah,
which
he did.
Loved.
And he did a great movie a couple of years ago about the band The Proclaimers using their music in a. It was a great movie. It really didn't do anything over here, but it did well in the UK. Sunshine on Leith.
Right.
Great movie, and I would have loved to have seen Dexter Fletcher. And I think, I don't want it to sound. It's not racist. Is not the right word, or jingoistic, but I just would have liked to have seen as it's a British rock band. I would have think there's something a British director could bring to it, have a connection with it from a growing up point of view. Queen is a very big part of the rock fabric in the UK, and I would have loved to have seen a British director carry this through, and I think Dexter would have done a great fucking job.
I would have liked to have seen Guy Ritchie's take on Queen. He just has a certain energy. Stop doing all these stupid friggin'
Aladdin and I would have gone for that. Guy Ritchie would have been great. There are a lot of great directors out there that I think from the UK.
Singer's a curveball. I'm glad that he's moving away from X-Men. I don't know if this is this next or will it be 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. I don't know.
Yeah.
But God, they've been trying to make this movie for ages.
Yeah, I spoke to Gary King. It's GK Productions who are actually behind this film.
GK Films, yeah.
GK Films. I spoke to him about this when I did an interview with him for Hugo, which was 6 years ago now. Mm-hmm. We were talking about it then. So this has been a long time coming. I think now they've got these pieces in place. They'll want to get it out within 18 months, 2 years. It could just to get it out there before, Yeah,
and I think it would,
I'm interested
depending on the script, it should be an awards turn as well.
Yeah, potentially. But yeah, so that was interesting. But talking about Bryan Singer,
okay,
talking about X-Men. There was talk this week that Fox could be looking at a potential soft reboot of the X-Men franchise. Which, do you know what? If they're gonna do that, which kind of makes sense to me. Now's a good time. They're seeing a lot of changes. Obviously, they've seen within sort of the Fox Marvel area. We're seeing Hugh Jackman hanging up his claws as Logan. That's coming to an end. We're seeing a shift in the personnel for Deadpool 2 and Deadpool 3. We're seeing some other shifts within that. We've seen obviously things like Fantastic Four that haven't worked. I think it's really good for Fox to go back and take a look at this and go, what should we do? X-Men Apocalypse this year did not do as well as it should have done. It underperformed. It was not, the quality was not where it should have been. I think pretty much everybody who saw that film agreed. So I think if there's a time in a timeline where you do look and go, maybe we should do a soft reboot, I think this is probably the one for Fox. What do you think about that?
I would, dude, fuck a soft reboot. I would do a hard reboot. I would fucking blow this whole franchise to smithereens.
Where would the hard reboot go, though? What can they do that is so
I don't know.
different?
I'd get rid of everyone. It is a mess. Apocalypse is one of the worst movies I've ever seen.
It was bad.
And none of the casting is particularly that interesting. I liked Ty Sheridan as Cyclops, but like Jennifer Lawrence is ready to be out. Nicholas Hoult should be out. There's not a lot right. And so wait, we're getting. Hold on.
Talking.
Let me look this up.
When you're talking about that, saying things that aren't right, we got some response to the Rami Malek being Freddie Mercury. Movie Junkies in the chat says, I do not see him as Mercury at all. Zeno Hour says Oscar Isaac would have been a better choice, in my opinion. Totally fucking agree. Jonathan Peck, is he going to sing in the biopic? I don't know. We know that Brian May and Roger
Queen's
Taylor are involved as musical
So
producers.
you would think that they would just use Freddie's voice.
Would have thought
he has
so.
such a one-of-a-kind voice.
You can't replicate it.
Yeah.
I think they would have to.
I mean, what if it turned out Rami Malek had Freddie Mercury's voice too? How talented are you really allowed to be?
But I'm just looking forward if they're doing things like videos. I just want to see Rami Malek in the I Want to Break Free video. Where Freddie Mercury dressed up as a housewife. Genius.
Our internet here is disappointing me. One second.
So. Yeah, I mean, obviously, Buster Dies says Rami is a good actor, but ... Fine. Yeah, I agree. But yeah, I would think that they would use Freddie Mercury's voice over his, unless they want to really train the heck out of him to sound like Freddie. It's difficult. You're right. Yeah. What are you looking for?
Okay, no. I was just looking up the New Mutant stuff.
Yeah.
So, because that's part of the X-Men soft reboot, whatever the fuck this thing is. And so they, now I think it was HitFix. This was like back in the day when Drew was still there. He threw out 3 names: Maisie Williams, right, from Game of Thrones, Anya Taylor-Joy from The Witch, and Nat Wolff. I mean, it sounds like those names
all 3 of those.
are probably going to stick. Yeah. So you're going to be rebuilding the franchise in part with those 3 and Josh Boone, the director of The Fault in Our Stars, who I really like.
And then Deadpool 3 is going to introduce X-Force, apparently. So that's another.
And I think that's the way into it. Use Deadpool to set the rest of this stuff up. Mm-hmm. And,
do they want to do it sooner than that? Because Deadpool 3 won't be out for 3 years, let's say.
They're talking about Deadpool 3 for X-Force?
Yeah.
I can't even keep track.
Yeah, because it's going to be Cable for 2, and then they're looking at doing sort of for the 3rd one, sort of leading in and doing X-Force for the 3rd one.
We did get a report from THR though this week that suggested David Leitch is now in negotiations.
Okay.
So it looks like that's going to stick. And we still have Alexander Shipp as Storm. She would be part of this hard reboot, and I suppose Ty Sheridan, although I'm not sure if he would be in New Mutants.
Is there anybody you'd want to see carried through? I mean, I do like Evan Peters.
Yeah, he's really good, but they need to do more with that character than give him one sequence per movie.
They did a great sequence that they didn't use in Apocalypse.
There was another that they gave him a second one.
Yeah,
I don't know. Well,
there you go.
An American Werewolf in London.
Yeah,
getting remade by Max Landis, our pal. I love Max. I think that this was an inevitability that this movie was going to be remade, and if anyone else is going to do it, why not have it be Max? And I think that's a cool sort of mirror thing. What do you think?
There aren't many movies that I'm particularly precious about, but American Werewolf in London is somewhat of a seminal movie for me growing up. I am not averse to reboots and remakes and redos. There are many films that I love. Actually, I actually sometimes prefer the reboot to the remake to the original. I think it brings something different, or it's a valid piece on its own. I trust him to do this. I like his previous work. I think he will bring something to it that is very interesting. I think he will help create a cast that is a mix of eclectic and fresh. And I think he'll take it in a very interesting direction. We still have the original American Werewolf in London. Nobody's going to destroy that. It's not that we can't watch that anymore. I'm nervous, but I've got one foot in the boat, and I'm putting weight on it.
Well, I actually saw Max's directorial debut this year.
Okay.
He invited me to a little premiere here in LA, and I liked it. It had a fun energy about it, and I think that he'll sort of bring that to this remake. I like his writing.
Yeah.
I've never seen him like direct a horror movie before or whatever. I mean, this would only be his second film, and Me, Him, Her was a comedy. But yeah, I believe in Max. And again, if this is gonna happen, you might as well have someone who treasures the original, obviously, and will do his father justice.
And he does.
He's not going to piss all over his father's legacy.
No.
And I'm sure that John Landis is going to have plenty of input.
Yeah.
It's not like they just sit at the dinner table at night and Max doesn't mention what he's working on.
No.
So I think it's kind of cool that John Landis will at least have a voice somehow in this process.
I mean, if you're going
he's an EP on the project. Sorry.
Okay.
I believe.
We've seen with other sort of familial legacies when it comes to film and properties, where I'll use the Hensons as a really good example. We've seen there that Jim's son has an entire family have been very careful about what they've done with sort of effectively rebooting, re-energizing Muppets, sometimes successfully, sometimes not successfully. But I think when you have that close of a personal tie, I think it's a very different. It's a different tie to being someone, for instance, let's use Edgar Wright, where you particularly love a character or you love an idea and you want to see it come to... And sometimes it can go well and sometimes it can't because you may be too close to the project or that kind of thing, or you bring your own thoughts and baggage to it. I think when it's something that your own father has made, I think... You look at it in a slightly different way. It's a different kind of closeness. It's a respect. Okay. It's a different kind of legacy you're handling. So I'm like I say, I'm a little bit nervous, but if anybody's going to take it forward, he's a solid. He gets a thumbs up from me, is what I'm saying, in a really long way.
Justin Kroll broke a cool story this week over at Variety about Jurassic World.
Yeah.
And Tobe Jones and Rafe Spall joining the cast. I mean, neither's a big name or anything, but Tobe Jones always classes up every movie he's in. Yeah. And Rafe Spall's
massively
cool too.
Underrated, and I absolutely love both of them.
Yeah, I feel like he was on the verge of becoming a big star a few years ago.
It hasn't quite happened.
Maybe this will help him get back to it. Let me see if I know anything about this new Jurassic World. What did you think of these?
Great. I mean, they're both actors that I really love. I mean, obviously they've been, coming from the UK, they've been very predominant on the scene for many, many years. They're in a basket of people that I'm like, if you want to add class to a project or you want to have a benchmark or a watermark of quality, you kind of get these guys in. They're both very diverse. They can do great dramatic roles. They can do comedy brilliantly and very subtly, which I think is going to be fantastic. We don't know what characters they're going to be playing yet, I believe. But no, I'm very on board. And I think it's nice to have... I'm looking forward to having some British guys, in here. We're seeing quite a few interesting roles for Brits in Hollywood right now. And they're not not Brits trying to be Americans. And they're not there just being, hello, I'm British. I think it's going to be really, really interesting. Oh, okay. Are we allowed to say that?
No.
Or no? Okay.
No.
Interesting.
But yeah.
Ooh, that is interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's going to be, certainly in that, I think very interesting. No, I like them. I mean, whenever they've ever done anything in the UK, whether it's been TV or film, they've always nailed it. They never don't bring it. And I think whether it's big roles or small roles, I've worked with them. I've interviewed them many, many times. They don't just take anything, even if it's a small role. They're not guys who take roles for the money. They want to do it. They're passionate.
I can totally see Tobe Jones in Jurassic Park 2. I think that'll be cool. In other sequel news, Mission Impossible 6.
Yes.
And there's the Pacific Rim 2. There's so much sequel
Pacific
stuff going
Rim
on.
2
Pacific Rim 2
started
just started
shooting.
shooting.
Yeah.
So that's it. That's the news.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
the news.
Although
I'm still not excited about that. I am tempted to
neither.
go back and watch Pacific Rim again and see if I missed something last time.
I'm excited about it in the sense that it seems like completely different with the cast.
Yeah.
So I will see it again. I didn't need to see a sequel with the same boring characters, although Garrett Hedlund is a standout in this weekend's Billy Lynn, which is otherwise terrible.
Yeah.
But did you see the script covers for Pacific Rim 2?
No.
They were really cool.
Cool.
Yeah. I like those script covers, Guillermo. But
I mean,
Mission Impossible...
it's something I'm hoping that the sequel's actually better than the original, rather than going,
It
it's a
could be.
sequel to a film that I'm like, I
John
didn't like the first one,
Boyega,
so I'm going to see this. Yeah.
Scott Eastwood, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's different. I suppose I'd give that one a shot.
Yeah.
Mission Impossible 6, though, got a release date.
Yes, it
which
did.
means it is happening.
Yes.
It's now on the books because the studio would never announce a release date for a movie that wasn't going to happen.
No.
And Chris McQuarrie's back to direct. Tom
Yeah.
Cruise. I don't know if who he will be joined. I imagine Simon Pegg again.
Simon Pegg will be back. He's got a really great relationship with Tom personally. They're good friends. He's got a great relationship with Paramount. They really like Simon Pegg. His character in this is very popular. I know Star Trek kind of didn't probably do him any favors. Star Trek Beyond this summer, but he is very popular, and he does have that Tom Cruise connection. If Tom Cruise is on your side, Tom Cruise is involved in the production of this as well, and not just starring in it. He's going to be secure. I would like to see Rebecca come back. I really liked her character in the last one.
Oh, she's definitely going to
Yeah.
be back. I mean, you don't create a star like that
Yeah.
and then let her go.
What I'd like to see is a smaller ensemble around Tom Cruise and because there's a lot of great characters in the Mission Impossible franchise, and a lot of them are not often given the chance to breathe. It's sometimes some of these franchises get overcrowded. So I would like to see, this is really not up to me, but I'd like to see a smaller group, maybe 4. Maybe 5, but no bigger than that. Mm-hmm. So everybody gets a chance to really... I mean, it's the Ethan Hunt show. We all know that.
Right.
But just give them a little bit more to play with. So, you okay? I see your facial expression change.
I'm looking at a breaking news story on Deadline, which really has no news in it.
Okay, excellent.
It's just an ad for Christina Hodson.
Okay.
Who's the writer of Shut In.
Yeah.
The movie that
Coming out
came
this
out
weekend.
to a whimper.
Yeah.
Didn't
do previews last night, so...
I read I think it was a Variety report or whatever that was like supposed to do 7 to 9 million, and then by the end of the week it was a 2.5 to 3 million.
2.8 is what they're expecting this weekend at the moment, in 10th place in the box office. But we'll get to that later on.
That's not good. No. But so the whole point of the story though is that Christina Hodson is the writer on Bumblebee.
Okay.
The Paramount spinoff of Transformers. And so the story is just about Paramount and Michael Bay ready to go out to directors. So it does seem that we will have our first film in the Transformers franchise not directed by Michael Bay, right?
Yep.
I guess that's somewhat interesting, but it doesn't mention any directors that they're out to. It's basically a story that she has finished a screenplay. Anyways, sorry to interrupt.
No,
that is
that's
what
absolutely
my face
fine.
was contorting.
So Mission Impossible 6 getting the summer release. It's 2018.
It's going up against a DC movie, isn't it?
It is, yeah. It's Aquaman.
It's supposed to be Aquaman, right? That hasn't been formally announced yet.
That could move. In fact, okay, Zeno Hour in the chat said Aquaman probably moves up. John Peck is asking, is Christopher McQuarrie still directing MI6? Yes, that is the case at the moment. Yeah, so, I mean, Mission Impossible 6, it's a franchise I really enjoy. I really enjoyed the last one. I know it didn't perhaps do as well as it should have done. And I know I'm slightly biased because I'm a big Tom Cruise fan. But I would like to see them do a little bit of because this is going to be the 6th one, set it up for a really interesting, either end it at 6 or set it up for a really interesting couple of movies following on. Should Tom Cruise not be Ethan Hunt anymore?
No, this is his franchise. He shouldn't have come back for Jack Reacher. But Mission Impossible, man,
I love it.
It's going strong.
Yeah. Where other TV franchises have failed.
I mean, we're in a world where fucking Fast and Furious is supposed to have 10 movies. So if that gets 10 movies, Tom Cruise can have fucking 6. We didn't talk about one thing.
They should call it that. Mission Impossible. Fucking 6. Fucking 6, man.
You going to see fucking 6 tonight?
Hand me the hat.
In other sequel news, although it's not really news, we just didn't talk about it last week. There was a trailer.
There was
a trailer that came out for one of, is it one of your favorite movies? The sequel?
Trainspotting, Police Academy?
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Trainspotting.
Police Academy, Don't Stop the Music, the Village People biopic.
Guys, I have a fun fact. Simon actually plays the baby crawling on the ceiling in Trainspotting.
Some of my finest work. There is work out there for short, bald actors, you know. I'm not an actor. I am short and bald, though. So Trainspotting 2 came out last week. Now, I love Trainspotting. I watched it again quite recently with my wife. We hadn't watched it for a long, long time. And we were like, okay, fine, let's watch it again. So we did. It's a great movie.
It's a great movie.
It's still a great movie. Mm-hmm. It hasn't lost anything in all these years. Then the trailer came out a couple of days later, and I was kind of like, I'm excited for this movie, but it kind of looks like the same fucking thing again. And while obviously that's the whole idea of the book, Porno, that was Irvin Walsh, but it's like the trailer and the things are kind of, it just feels like, I'm wondering if it's going to feel too familiar, because obviously he goes back to Edinburgh.
But they're not real, like, maybe one of them is still a heroin addict, maybe Spud or whatever. I didn't read the book, but he's not a heroin addict anymore. Rented,
no, but there are things in the trailer that occur, like, you know, sort of Ewan McGregor's character in front of the car and doing his laugh, and then, you know, people, you know,
all the callbacks,
all the callback stuff, and it's just like, you know, I'm just like Degby going batshit crazy, and I'm just like, I'm really looking forward to the film, but I'm just a bit like, oh, is this just going to be like The Hangover 2, where it's like it's the same shit in a different situation? And I'm looking forward to it, but I'm a little bit nervous. But
I feel like you have to give Danny Boyle the benefit of the doubt. Like,
I like Danny Boyle.
I don't think he would phone in a sequel to his most potentially his most revered movie.
I think there's going to be. I think what they might have done is done the trailer, so it's like, oh, I like that. I will go and see that because it's more of that.
I thought it looked good. I actually was shocked at how good it looked.
Yeah, me too.
Part of it was his direction, like some of the shots and everything. It wasn't necessarily the content.
No, I see where they completely do, and I think there's going to be a lot more there beyond these familiar setups.
You mentioned something else which I hadn't heard.
Trainspotting TV series, apparently. Irvin Walsh has been talking about that, taking the characters from obviously the books and the films and looking at potentially doing a Trainspotting TV series. I would say no on that. I don't, unless it was the original cast and there were really good ideas. But what are you going to do with it? Are you just going to have people in Edinburgh getting high on heroin and all the japes and scrapes that come along with that?
I'd have trouble seeing that. That'd be like Kids, the TV series. Next week on an all new Kids.
Short Bus. I'm just like, right. Will Diana get fingered? I'm just like, something's just, either they belong as movies or they don't. I don't want to see the characters carried on to TV. I don't want to see different people playing those characters. I don't want to see stories about the people around those central characters. It's not like the Marvel universe where you can have these characters that have these separate worlds, because that's going to be different. That will then not be Trainspotting. I would say either, if you're going to do it for TV, do it as a maybe 6-part miniseries and round it off, or do another movie, or just leave it alone.
Yeah, how about, is that an option? Just leave it alone.
Option 3, please. Leave it the fuck alone. So I'm very excited about Trainspotting 2. Little bit concerned on the fringes, but Trainspotting TV series, I'm going to say no.
Okay, me too.
Okay, cool.
You know, there was another thing we missed last week, that Universal is getting...
We had so much stuff to fit in last week.
Is now doing the live-action Voltron movie?
Yeah.
I'm not a Voltron guy. I barely know what the fuck this thing is. Right. It's things that come together to form a giant...
Yeah. There was that. There was like GoBots. There was Transformers. And I'm just
it's stupid to me, but I don't know. I didn't know if you were a closet Voltron fan.
Mum, Dad, I'm a Voltron fan. It's my choice. Accept me for it. I know that Netflix have gone big on Voltron. This year, they've done some Voltron products. In fact, our sister network, AfterBuzz TV, I believe they have a Voltron show. I don't think we need another robot transforming thing. I think we've got Transformers, and that's very popular. Mm-hmm. We get those every couple of years, and we're going to keep getting those every couple of years.
I'm just,
I don't know if there's the hunger
like
for
these
that.
sort of B and C level franchises that are going to try to get bumped up.
Every couple of years, we get a thing beating the shit out of another thing. Movies.
Wait. Here's a movie that I doubted.
Okay.
And the trailer came out this week, and I thought it actually looked kind of cool. What'd you think of the Valerian trailer?
I haven't watched it.
What? We'll watch it after the show.
Okay, cool. I'm a fan of Luc Besson.
It looked interesting. It puts a lot of stock in The Fifth Element. It's like, from the director of The Fifth Element.
Yeah.
Can you believe it? We got that director. I didn't really like The Fifth Element.
Did they hire you to do the voiceover for that?
Are you a big Fifth Element guy?
Yeah, I love The Fifth Element.
I'm not a big Fifth Element guy.
I absolutely love that.
It's like a cool world without an really interesting story to me. Maybe I saw it when I was a little too young, but
I watched that for the first time when it was in theaters. I went to New York for the first time, and I watched that, and then I did it with a double bill with Austin Powers, and I absolutely love Fifth Element. And I watched it again about 8 months ago, and I was talking to Mila Jovovich about it, and she just is so in love with that movie, and I love it. I have it. It's great fun. Okay. It's goofy, but it's great fun. Gary Oldman fucking loved being part of that, by the way.
Listen, Fifth
If he's
Element
ever
has
grumpy
its
in an
moments.
interview, talk about
It
Fifth
has
Element.
its moments, but I'm not a diehard fan. So when I saw this being sort of hyped up, I thought it was kind of funny. It didn't do that well, did it? The Fifth Element?
No, it wasn't a massive success.
Yeah,
Critically, it did really well, but it wasn't
to, hang a whole trailer on, like. But
I think it came out at a time where there wasn't really any sci-fi movies like that around.
That's true.
It filled a hole for quirky spaceships.
I think that's what this is going to do.
Yeah.
Not that there's a void of those movies, but I think this is going to be almost just about as weird as Guardians and
Good.
Off Kilter. Yeah, I'm into it. It looked much better than I thought it would, because it's also going up against Christopher Nolan's Dunkirk.
Yeah.
Which is crazy if you're a $180 million sci-fi movie starring Cara Delevingne and Dan Dillon.
But do you know what? I think they won't cannibalize each other's audiences. I think they're so diverse and so different. I think there'll be audiences for both. Personally, I'd probably move them a week apart. But I think that would be a weekend where I would go, I'm going to go and see 2 movies at the theater this weekend. That's what I would do. But I'm a nerd.
Okay, there was news that I did want to talk about. Wait, this is a big one.
Okay.
This will be a good discussion. Mm-hmm. We're going to have a couple of those because we still got 20 minutes. Mike DeLuca and Jennifer Todd are going to produce the Oscars.
Yeah.
I kind of love the choice. Really like Mike DeLuca. Super smart guy. Think it's in very good hands with both of them. Jennifer Todd runs Matt and Ben's production company.
Yep.
Pearl Street. So now the question turns to who will host the Oscars. There's been a lot of talk about Jimmy Kimmel doing it because it's on ABC, and ABC wants its guy in there. What do you think? Who would you like to see host the Oscars, Simon? Putting you on the spot.
Okay, I would like to see. I'd like to see Kevin Hart do it. I don't want to see Amy Schumer do it.
I think Amy Schumer's too polarizing right now. There's
I
too much Amy Schumer right now. Kevin Hart.
I like her work, but I don't think the tone is right.
Okay.
There's quite a long list of people that I'd like to see.
Kevin Hart, I think, would be good, especially with Dwayne.
Yeah.
But they just did the MTV Movie Awards. I don't think that is like you get to go from MTV Movie Awards and then your promotion is the Oscars.
Outside, but I would love to see Jane Lynch host it.
She's a TV person, though. I do believe that a movie person
So's Jimmy Kimmel.
For sure. A lot of people who have done it. Neil Patrick Harris and Ellen.
Yeah.
But
I would quite happily have Ellen do it again. I like Ellen, but I don't think she's going to be the right fit for this.
It's got to be fresh, and I think that is what DeLuca and Todd want to do. They want to put their stamp on the show. They don't want to just use someone else's choice. They have this opportunity. Who knows when you get it again?
Would they double team it? I mean, we've been burnt by that in the past. Would they have 2 hosts?
I think 2 hosts is the way to go. I think it's almost too big a job for one person. Like, that person has to be absolutely perfect. It's just and you hit more demographics, you know. So Kevin Hart, like, is there anybody else?
Zeno Hours said Kevin Hart. In the chat, we've got Alec Baldwin and Kate McKinnon. Also, Zeno Hour and Jonathan Peck both saying Key and Peele. Now,
Key and Peele's a good choice.
That's really good. I actually, I was in New York the other weekend for the junket for Why Him, and I got to speak to Key, and he's fucking lovely.
He's a cool guy.
Wanted to hug him and just go out for a beer. He is seriously the nicest guy, and he's funny, and he's very intelligent. And I think they together would be absolutely superb. And I think also because obviously they're known for their comedy stuff, and Keanu was underrated and should have done better.
The producers said they want to hire someone with a comedic background.
Yeah. I think they would be great. I think they'd bring a level of gravitas. I think when you needed to do those serious moments, but I think their humor would be very insightful and well delivered.
And they are becoming movie people. That's what's important to me, is that it doesn't look like their future will be in television necessarily, unless they're producing other people's shit. I think that they are going to go off and have successful movie careers.
Yeah. We've obviously seen that with Peele, obviously, moving away from his comedy stuff to something really
and like Ellen has, she's the voice of Dory or whatever, and Neil Patrick Harris has been in movies, but they are primarily TV people. I think he and Peele are going to become primarily movie people, which is why I think that they would be appropriate.
I know it's going to get thrown out there, The Rock, but I don't want to see The Rock do it as much as I love.
I think The Rock would be good, but yeah, he was not on my list.
And having seen him and Kevin together when they did the MTV Movie Awards, I was up at Warner for that. That for me, they work well together on screen, but doing that together on stage, I wasn't a huge fan of that.
Who are the funniest women on the planet, though? Like, I think it has to be a woman.
Yeah.
I thought it had to be a woman when we were going to get Clinton as president.
Yeah.
Now I really think it has to be a woman. Or at least include a woman, whether it's a guy and a girl. Melissa McCarthy, though, is by far the best female comedian.
Polarizing,
in terms of movies.
Not because of anything she's done. I mean, I
think
love
she'll
her.
Be really good.
And she's lovely. I think she gets a lot of unfair shit. Jones. From
Leslie Jones. I don't think Leslie Jones is quite polished enough to do the Oscars. Or well known enough to an international audience. I mean, this is a show for the whole world.
Louis C.K. was someone that got thrown up to me this week, and I'm like, I don't think he would get that. I don't think he'd stand a chance of getting it. But I would love to see his delivery.
I think Louis is too smart to do it.
Yeah,
and it would be like Ricky Gervais hosting the Oscars. It just doesn't feel right. I don't know. There's a lot of capable people out there. I have faith that Mike and Jennifer will make the right decision.
Yeah.
But I think Melissa McCarthy would be really cool. I'd love to see the Ghostbusters present, like in the face of all the shit that they took this year.
Yeah.
Seeing those four women on stage would be awesome.
I know a lot of people don't like Melissa McCarthy, but I do.
Who doesn't like her?
I know a lot of people don't. I mean, when I did the review for The Boss, and okay, it's not the greatest comedy film ever, but I really like her. I'd like to see her and actually Paul Feig. I like Paul, not as a.
I saw him last night.
He's a lovely guy. He's just a really nice guy. He's very intelligent. He's very erudite. I would like to see him. I think he and Melissa would be great together. They've got such a great friendship.
Paul hosting the Oscars?
Paul hosting and Melissa.
Yeah, you think very outside the box.
I do. That's what I do.
Although I'll be honest, we did think about Judd.
Apatow.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought you meant Nelson then.
Judd Nelson.
Bender. Walking across.
Okay, Oscar host.
Yeah.
There was another story. Okay, wait. You got to hear this. I think you probably haven't heard this.
Tina Fey, Amy Poehler. Like the idea. I think we're past that now.
This was
Bill Murray.
Nuts last night.
Right, yeah.
Hollywood Reporter last night had a story about Sony seeking a patent method for measuring journalists' accuracy. Okay?
Right.
Can you imagine that? So Sony would grade all of the reporters I'm using some formula that the creator of this system has devised or whatever to give us an accuracy score, so that when you read an article by Jeff Snyder who has a 93 or whatever next to his name, you can either trust it or say, well, that's not high enough for me, that number. This is the most ludicrous fucking idea I've heard in quite some time, and the fact that it was from Sony Pictures, which thinks it is an arbiter of truth, is funny on its head.
You can't do that.
It's not Sony Pictures, excuse me. Forgive me, it's not Sony Pictures, it's Sony Corporation.
Yeah, you can't. That's a completely pointless and massively flawed way to do it.
Listen to this shit. It would make assessments of a journalist's credibility based on inputs including the historical value of the work, passive input based on usage behavior, comments by casual observers, as well as independent assessment in public fora.
No.
What?
What the fuck is... No, that's...
I'm like, I'll put it this way. It's not Sony Pictures, but Sony Pictures are employees of Sony Corporation, and it's like if its own employees don't understand what is the truth and what is not, which has certainly been my experience.
And, I mean, I think this just applies...
How could they grade journalists? It takes some fucking balls to apply for this kind of a patent. It's dangerous in so many ways. It's very easily skewed. We've seen... Just go back to the election very quickly. We've seen a lot of disinformation put out on things that are people who claim to be journalists putting things out that are completely false. And if you decide that you want to get on board with that, believe that, even if it has zero based in fact, if you feel that aligns with your beliefs of what something is, you can put it out there as a fact. I think when you bring that into journalism, it's very... You can't do that. That's like, I disagree with what you're saying. It's like being an Uber driver or a Yelp review. I disagree with your take on that film. Therefore, I will give you a 2 out of 5. Right.
Okay, fine. So these guys are monitoring it. Then you write a positive thing about Fox. I don't like that thing.
Right.
I work for this company, so therefore I'm going to give you a 3. Therefore, your integrity as a journalist is based on the I say prejudice. It's not prejudice, but the opinions and beliefs and feelings of someone else. And that's like someone else might, and then Fox look at something you write about, say Sony or Disney, and they go, "Oh, okay, I don't like that." Blah blah blah. No, that's not how journalism works.
All I know is
that's
if I had to be judged on my accuracy by the studios and agencies who I deal with, who think nothing is a story and everything is premature, like, holy shit, I'd have a 0 score. A 0.
But also, it not just as a journalist, it then compromises you and your integrity. It also does a disservice to the audience, because then they're not getting an informed opinion from I mean, we live in a slightly different age of journalism now. They will go, okay, well, Jeff's only got a score of 3, so his opinion is less valid, even though you agree. I don't think it's very dangerous. It does a disservice to the audience.
It was an absurd and insulting patent to read, and let's hope that it doesn't clear a patent office.
No.
We do have some breaking news.
Okay.
Did you see?
No,
Napoleon Solo has died.
Ooh.
Robert Vaughn.
Oh, no.
Robert Vaughn, who played Napoleon Solo on The Man from U.N.C.L.E., has died at 83 following a brief battle with acute leukemia. I'm reading this on Deadline. He played a gunman in The Magnificent Seven.
Yeah.
In the original.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Sorry. R.I.P.
That's bad news.
My thoughts are with his family and that.
Wow.
He wasn't really a star of our generation, but yeah.
Well,
a big name, Robert Vaughn.
I grew up, tail end of that high point of his career. That's when I was growing up, so I remember seeing him, on TV, in movies. That's terrible.
He was in Austin Powers, right?
Yeah.
Austin Powers.
That's such a terrible shame. Going back to the Oscars.
That's a great bit that he does with Mike Myers and Austin Powers. So,
Sky Patterson in the chat has said James Corden hosting the Oscars would be interesting.
He just hosted the Hollywood Film Awards.
Yeah,
it's like No, you don't get to do that. You know, if you're the Oscar host, you don't go and host the Hollywood Film Awards.
No,
like,
I kind of
which I
like that
can't believe he
idea.
hosted
I don't think it
anyways.
would be right, yeah.
I love James Corden, but like, bro, you blew it. Like now you have to like wait a few years to get the stink out of that show off of
Get
you.
the taint. Okay,
what do you want to talk about?
We've got about 8 minutes left, so we need to talk about this week's movie releases. But let's just touch on some other sort of smaller news this week.
Go ahead. Rapid fire.
Fantastic Beasts 2. Apparently this week it was reported that the younger Dumbledore, who's going to feature in the upcoming Fantastic Beasts movies, is going to be openly gay.
What do you think? Because I don't care because I'm not going to see Fantastic Beasts.
I don't care if Dumbledore is gay or not.
Yeah, I don't really think gay values will be espoused in Fantastic Beasts 2. He'll just mention, some significant other who's a guy.
I don't think we're going to see flancing him around, the younger Dumbledore. I don't think it's going to make any difference or any impact at all. So, reported story, but I don't think it's going to have any greater impact on the franchise or anything else. Mm-hmm. I mean, those people who already don't like Harry Potter, who think on a moralistic value because it's about witchcraft, they don't want their kids to watch it, they're not going to see this shit anyway. So, make him as gay as you like, but I don't think it'll make any difference to the franchise, and I don't think he'll be, I don't think it'll be a big issue. Now You See Me 2 has got new writers. Sorry, Now You See Me 3. Obviously, Now You See Me 2 came out this summer. They can't rewrite that shit. That's already out there. I'm surprised that the studio hasn't ditched plans for Now You See Me 3, because Now You See Me I enjoyed. Now You See Me 2 came out this year. It wasn't a great sequel, and it was just generally a lack of interest and buzz about it. And in a summer which was generally disappointing, it had the chance to come through and perhaps rise up and be something that people were really into. Just didn't work. I'm quite surprised that they're still going ahead with the third one.
I'm looking at the box office results for
I thought
the
they might have. I mean, am I alone in that?
It still made $334 million worldwide. It was just such a big thing for it. Again, 65 domestic, 269 foreign.
Yeah.
There's your answer.
Yeah, foreign money.
It's as simple as that.
A story that we already knew, but it came through this week. Michael Keaton has confirmed that he's a Vulture in Spider-Man Homecoming.
Literally blew my mind that this was a news story.
Yeah, I was very surprised.
Literally blew my mind.
Because this was confirmed like 2-3 months ago, wasn't it?
I'm just going to start throwing shit out there. Like, guys, breaking news.
What's that?
Send the alert. Alden Ehrenreich cast as Han Solo.
Hey!
I'm going to do that every fucking Friday for the next 6 months. Like, what the fuck?
Police Academy 2 has been greenlit.
I was already, I'm not allowed to talk about the set visit, but it's like, I saw Michael Keaton playing the fucking Vulture before my eyes.
Yeah. I'm
this
quite
was
surprised.
Not a secret.
I'm just surprised sometimes when these stories are
Tom Holland
published.
Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Who decides to go with this shit? THR did a story last night that's like update, like everything you need to know on Deadpool 2. And it's just recapping everything you already know about Deadpool 2.
Let's talk about big releases this week. Let's talk about the releases. We already touched on Shut In, which is getting quite a wide release, but really not expected. It's been downgraded expectation this week. It's got quite a few screens. 2.8 million it's looking at, which is going to put it in 10th place, according to boxofficemojo.com. That's been downgraded, you said earlier.
They didn't show it to critics.
No. It looks like quite a good idea. It's just a shame.
I thought it like
I'll watch it on a plane.
A year ago when I heard Naomi Watts or whatever was going to do a thriller with Jacob Tremblay or whatever, I was into that idea.
Yeah.
That trailer, I knew right away.
Yeah.
Garbage.
I'll watch it on a plane.
It reminded me of like that fucking Daniel Craig movie that sucked, Dream House.
Oh, God. Yeah, that was awful.
Yeah.
So bad that the director, Neil Jordan, actually took his name off that.
This looked real bad.
Arrival. The biggest release of the week. Previews last night, 1.5 million. Expected to bring in about 25 million this weekend in third place behind Strange and Trolls.
I'd be very surprised if it did 25.
Yeah.
It's a smaller film than that, and it doesn't have big stars.
I think it's looking at 20.
Yeah,
that's
seems
where
fair.
it's feeling right for me.
I had it pegged for 15 before, but I think that the reviews are really helping it.
Yeah.
So that's
very strong reviews for that. I enjoyed it. I didn't think it was amazing. I think I might have missed something, or maybe I just didn't hit me in the same way. But I really enjoyed it as a movie. But I like him as a director.
I like the end a lot. Like the end just makes that whole movie.
It's a good journey. It's quite a slow journey. It's a considered journey, but I like it.
I read the short story that it's based on this week, and Eric Heiser deserves a lot of credit for like spinning a really entertaining movie out of that short story, which is very, as you would say, cerebral and erudite.
I would indeed. I have said that many times. So we're looking at, so 25. I'm thinking it's going to be more around 20. Also coming out this week, Almost Christmas, which I haven't seen, but it does look kind of fun. I mean, I'm not going to rush out and see it. I'm not going to pay to see it in the theater. I'll probably catch it on a plane.
I will never see this movie.
it does surprise me. You're a big fan of Monique's work.
I think it will overperform, as most films geared to black audiences do, and I think it'll get around 15 this weekend.
Yeah, they're looking at around sort of 12 to 15. Previous last night is 507,000, 500,000 just over, so that'll be fine. Billy Lynn, which I haven't seen, which you have seen.
I think my review just went up, yeah.
It's opening in LA and New York this weekend, and then it goes wide next weekend. You weren't a fan? No.
In
a word. What's wrong with it? Because it looks interesting.
Okay.
So where did it fall down?
Begin? The editors were like, "Hey, can this go up?" I was like, "Yeah, it can go up." All right, Billy Lynn. Where to begin? So many problems. The main one is the story. The story is inane. Like, what do you think that this movie is about? You haven't seen it.
No.
You've seen the trailers.
Yeah.
What is this movie about to you?
To me, it's about a guy that goes into the battlefield, comes back, and kind of becomes at the center of the media. He becomes like a false hero. That he's not really happy with his position in it. That's kind of my reading.
Interesting. I don't know that he's a false hero necessarily.
Well, certainly he's a poster boy.
Yes,
he's uncomfortable with his poster boy position.
Yes,
that
is accurate. However, to me, this was like, so him and his platoon, they lose a guy in battle. Mm-hmm. You know, some of the shit is caught on tape. They become big national heroes, and now they have Chris Tucker as a hotshot Hollywood producer who's trying to sell their story to a studio. And it's about a fucking platoon trying to get a movie deal done inside of a single day. Like at the start, the start of the day is he's like, Chris Tucker's like, oh, we're gonna have Hilary Swank play you, or maybe we'll have Brad Pitt play you, and then at the end of the day, when that doesn't happen, they're like upset. Here's what really pissed me off about this movie, dude. Throughout the movie, they're talking about there's 8 of the guys.
Yeah,
they talk about how this fee. Mm-hmm. For their rights would have to be split 8 ways. Not accounting for the dead guy who gave his life in service in Iraq. Like, they wouldn't cut his fucking family in on this deal?
Yeah.
It is an unforgivable oversight in this movie.
Sounds kind of distasteful.
Joe Alwyn sucked. He's Billy Lynn. He's kid's super bland. He's vanilla. All the female roles are underwritten. The kid falls in love with a cheerleader after 15 minutes of knowing her. The platoon gets into it, not 1, not 2, 3 fights with stadium security. Shit, we're running out of time.
Oh, wow.
It was terrible.
Okay.
It was a terrible movie. Forget how it looks about the 120 frames per second or all that. Just skip it.
Okay, so what are you doing today after the show finishes very quickly? What are you doing this weekend? Are you busy this week?
I'm writing my review of Rules Don't Apply, which I saw last night, and also, we got 2 more minutes.
I saw that also.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, over at Fox.
Did you like it?
I liked it about sort of 6 out of 10. I thought it was.
You're being so generous.
There were things that I did really enjoy about it. I found it quite boring in places, and I didn't love it. There were moments where I thought I really like this, and then a bit like bits going, oh no.
It's an aimless movie.
It's a vanity project
that is paced like an old-fashioned movie.
Yeah, it is. I'll give you that.
It is not good.
No, but I'm actually after this. I'm going to talk to the cast.
Oh, okay.
Well,
give him my best.
Yeah, I will say that you'll be on the poster.
Ask all the Han Solo questions you can before.
Why is there not enough
publicist really?
Why is there no Han Solo in this movie?
I'm embargoed on a couple of things, but since Peter Bart and Greg Elwood have tweeted out their reactions, let me just tell you, since we're not going to have a show next week.
No.
I'm gone for Thanksgiving. Allied with Brad Pitt and Miss Sloane with Jessica Chastain. Thumbs up to both.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, no, I go home a week early. Really like Brad Pitt's Allied and Miss Sloane, Jessica Chastain, also
awesome.
quite
Looking
clever.
Forward to that.
So yeah, check those movies out since I'm not around next week to plug them. Simon, have a wonderful Thanksgiving.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to it.
Where can the good people find you?
You can find me on Twitter, @ShowbizSimon. You can find me on Instagram, @ShowbizSimon. And you can find me on Facebook, This is Simon Thompson.
And I'm Jeff Snyder. You can find my musings on Mashable.com. I'm at The Insider on Twitter and Instagram. Guys, stay positive this week. Don't let the bastards get you down.
No. Just
happy holidays.
Hug it out.
And rate, comment, subscribe to the Popcorn Talk Network. Don't forget all that good stuff.
Help us. Help everybody else.
Happy
Thanksgiving,
hug
everybody.
Your families.
From producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, Christian Harloff, and the entire Popcorn Talk Network, we would like to thank you for tuning in. For questions or comments, be sure to visit popcorntalk.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of the Popcorn Talk Network.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of its owners or principals.